With fervor, like you really mean it.
CastagHighProject.com.
The popular Summer Beach Bus is back. The city of Santa Clarita is now offering rides to Santa Monica Beach on Saturdays and Sundays, now through September 2nd. Forget dealing with traffic or money for parking. Ride to the beach with ease on one of the city's comfortable, air-conditioned commuter express buses. And bring your beach chairs, coolers, and surfboards. Fares are only $3 each way for children and adults, $1.50 each way for seniors 60 years or older and persons with disabilities. For more information, visit SantaClaritaTransit.com.
With the safe disposal of waste from our homes in the Santa Clarita Valley, Chiquita Canyon Landfill is able to create enough green energy to power 10,000 homes each year. So you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
Santa Clarita's hometown station. Hometown station.
KHTS AM 1220 and the new 98.1 FM.
And welcome to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, joined weekly in studio with Ellen Tunick. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
Today is episode 4 of a series called Helping You Reach Your Full Potential. It's a show about life coaching and how to create maximum value for yourself from a life coach or from the simple willingness of being open to all possibilities. But this is what I want you to think about. So imagine for a moment, as a mom, you've spent half of your lifetime dedicated to loving, caring for, and raising children to be happy, healthy, and successful human beings in the world. And then one day you wake up and feel like you've lost control of the direction of their journey, feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and worried about your children's future. So how do you overcome that? How do you gain back that control? How do you find that inner peace? And so, you know, the question is it possible to be able to reside at that place and be able to operate from that healthy context? Is it possible? Of course it is.
Of course it is, with a lot of work.
It's going to take some work, absolutely. And today in studio we have a very courageous woman, mother of 4 and a spare, and later we'll tell you what that means. And you have 4 children, and today you're here to be coached live on the radio. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Before we get into that, I have a question for you, Ellen. Have you ever felt overwhelmed as a mother, felt stressed or worried about your children's future, unsure about whether they're going to be okay or not?
Yes, yes, and yes.
And so what does it feel like to be operating from that place of stressed out and wondering every day if they're going to be okay in the direction that they're headed?
Fear, complete fear, complete inability to dial in to how to make sure that it turns out right for them. Because if it turns out right for them, then it turns out right for me.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you've directly attached your results as a mom to the results of your kids.
Yes.
And if they fail miserably, then that means that you failed miserably.
Correct.
And if they win big in life, then...
I'm a big winner.
All right. Now, the question I want to ask you is, can you still create that model and still operate from that framework without being stressed and overwhelmed?
Knowing the little bit that I know now by working with you, I'm sure that is there. I don't know what that looks like.
Awesome. And so I think today during the show, we're probably going to talk a little bit about that. And if we go off course, I want you to hold me accountable to bring me back to talking about how do we still operate from that place to fighting for our kids to win and supporting them without bringing along the stress and the worry and all this, heaviness that we bring to needing them to have the results that we want them to have.
So when I look at it and remember how I felt and still feel, because it transfers now from my kids to my grandchildren, everything gets very intermingled. All of the feelings get very intermingled, and I would go back and forth from I have to do this, I have to guide them, I have to direct them, to I don't care. let them do what they want to do. And it's very conflicting because it goes back and forth, and you spin.
Yeah. So are you ready to bring our guest on?
I'm very ready.
All right. So before we do that, let me tee up a little bit about coaching and how to create value for yourself as you're the coachee. To be coachable is what we call it, is you have to be open-minded. So you got to be willing to be open to all possibilities, not just the possibilities that you've created for yourself with the certain limitations or the boxes or the small paradigm that you've been operating from, but just be open to all possibilities. It doesn't mean that you have to necessarily agree with me or the perspectives or the possibilities that I've opened up, but just be open and willing to see if you can see it like that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. Even if you can't see them yet, be open to the possibilities. The next thing to be coachable is you got to be self-aware, and you got to really be willing to look inward, not outward, because we spend so much time as human beings always focusing on outward, trying to change the result or the outcome or the conditions or the circumstances on the outside, rather than going inward and figuring out what's missing from me, that I can make those adjustments such that the circumstances can still be there and I can still be operating with those circumstances and still be powerful, not being stressed, not being worried, and not carrying all my fear around with me. So you got to be self-reflective. And then the last thing is you got to be willing to surrender some of your old limiting beliefs, right? Some of your old conditioning, Ellen, years of old conditioning and outdated perspectives that may not really be effective anymore, especially in today's world with today's kids, because today's kids aren't the same kids that we were.
No, and they're not even like my grandchildren. Kids of today aren't even like my kids were. It's a totally different life that these young people are living, and there's a part of me that feels out of date and out of touch with that. So when you're saying that, the crux to conscious parenting is to not be outdated. It's to continually keep growing interpersonally and keep evolving, becoming more wiser in your parenting, such that you're catching up to the changes, the constant changes that the world is demanding of all of us. Right. And see, in my head, when I say I'm out of date, it's about social media. It's about, the words they use, that I'm out of touch with too. And so that's upsetting because I feel like an old person saying, what does that mean? What are you talking about?
But that's okay. You can be an old person and be authentic about being an old person and not knowing what they're talking about. But there's a way that you could be about it that I think kids they admire, just the authentic, playfulness, and there's a way to roll with it without being so rigid and resisting it,
or feeling bad about it,
or shaming yourself, or not feeling like you're smart enough, or you're not, cool enough, or whatever it is. Instead of bringing all the psychological baggage to it, just allow it to be what it is, and you can still operate from a powerful context as a mom. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with a question. So what's the main question that you really want to throw out there to get started on? Like, where do I meet you at? What's the burning question you have to start this dialogue and open up a coaching dialogue?
I think for me right now, with 4 kids between the ages of 15 and 18 is...
15 and 21.
Sorry, 15 and 21. I worry so much. And going back to what you were saying earlier, I want to fix everything. I want to tell them how to do it. I want to tell them, you need to go do this now. This is how you're going to be successful if you don't do this. And in turn, it doesn't work. All I do is stress and have worry and anxiety and don't sleep because I'm constantly worried about all of them. Making good choices, even going to social media. Did you really post that? Did you say that? Please take that down. That's not okay. Who were you out with last night? Is your homework done? And it's taking a toll on me with 4 kids, wanting them, I guess, in a sense, to be perfect.
Let me ask you a question. When they were born, did you mindfully accept that they were going to have their own life and live on their own journey? Yes or no?
No.
So you decided when they were born that they were going to be a part of your journey?
Correct. I was a young mom.
All right. So, but even though you were a young mom, I'm hoping you were evolving in your motherhood, and shaping your perspective and your paradigm about how they are supposed to be living in the world? Do you want them to be on your journey, or would you like them to embark on their own journey in life?
I'd much rather them embark on their own journey. I don't think I had the right mindset or the tools maybe at the time. So being a stay-at-home mom, keeping them very close, making sure I was at everything, making sure they always had the water bottle and they had the snacks. And I took them on my journey instead of letting them do theirs.
Okay, so now that, just so you know, that's a common way that we parent, including myself. When my kids were born, even though I made a commitment, like I was telling you earlier on today, that even though I committed to having them win ultimately in their life for my whole lifetime as their dad, there was still a part of me that carried them along my journey, and I was the leader. So I was in control.
Leader of the pack.
I was in control of my kids, right? Me and my wife, we controlled the outcomes. We controlled the space, the path,
whole environment.
the path that they walked, the environment, such that they didn't hurt themselves. And that's what we're supposed to do as parents. However, at a certain point, our job is to reinvent our parenting role and shift from the controlling style parent into the mentor coaching style parent, where your job is to help them grab a hold of their own journey and start making decisions for themselves. And your job is to now step out of the controlling it and guiding it and navigating it and pushing it and nudging it and tugging
and defining
pulling,
it.
all of it. So you're now, your role is to stand aside them and watch over them and observe, and then give feedback or acknowledgement. Your job is now more to be inspirational in their journey, rather than trying to muscle it, push it, navigate it,
So
tug
question,
it, pull it.
if you, as you walk beside them and you see them really messing up in your eyes.
Is it, they're messing up on their journey or your journey?
Their journey.
Okay.
How do you cope with that? What's your response to that? How do you deal with that as a parent?
So the first thing you want to do is you want to not take it personal. And
I think that's that's one of the hardest things.
But they're my kids.
They're mine. I must have done something wrong.
But it's not your journey, it's their journey. And see,
that part of not being personal.
So so what I want to open up is this possibility that as parents we struggle with really resonating with separating my journey versus their journey. And it's going to be a constant practice to keep splitting it down the middle and dividing it, going, my journey is my journey as the parent, their journey is their journey as the navigator of their own ship, right?
Right.
They're the pilot of their own plane. They're the author of their own book. They get to create their own journey and have it be what it is. And I have to learn how to step out of it into my own journey in my own lane, just looking over and just either giving advice or giving some wisdom or some golden nuggets or pointing out things that you can see that they can't.
Or maybe none of that because they don't want to hear it.
Exactly. Or none of it. Or just sit there and when they fall down and scrape their knee, you go, come over onto my track and I'll give you a hug. Or, hey, can I come over onto your track and give you a hug? And maybe they just need an ear. Maybe they just need an open space for you to listen to them so that they can figure out their own solutions. So I'm trying to paint this picture for you, for both of you. And the idea is, have you decided to give your kids their own journey and surrender needing to control it and manipulate it and make sure that it goes in the direction that you need it to go, such that you're successful as a mom?
You know, I have begun that internal conversation.
Okay, great. So you're embarking on this new journey yourself.
It's going to be a big deal for me, but I have embarked on that conversation.
Okay, so when you get down that path and you start to practice it and get really good at it, lies the peace. The peace and the serenity and the tranquility comes from you being unattached to their journey and not deciding that what they do is right, what they do is wrong, and giving it all those meanings of you shouldn't have done this and you should have done it this way, because that's where you're causing all of the
anxiety and the stress.
All of it is caused by that operating system that you have.
And question, when we when we do that, tell them you didn't do that right, you should have done it this way, are we not only creating our own stress, but do we impart that stress on them as well?
Absolutely. It's called projection. You're projecting your own fears, your own doubts, your own insecurities onto them, making it 10 times more challenging for them to try to figure out their own solutions for themselves. So the best way that you can support your kids is to get off of their lane, get off of their path, and let them figure it out, and shift your role into being more of a supporter, more of an advisor, a mentor. And
they'll hear if you need me.
That's right.
Well, I noticed in our home specifically, I was able to do that with, I think, our oldest son. He navigates himself. We were there for guidance. Each child has such a different dynamic
and personality
that I feel I was great for this one, and then on this one I'm hovering, and I don't feel he's finding that path, so I worry it'll go wrong. So learning to do that in a different way with a child who responds differently.
Well, this is what commonly happens. Some parents, their first child, they're blessed with like a kid that everything just falls right for them.
Just cruises along.
And they can sit back and be that mentor, inspirational parent.
Good point.
And then we always have that one kid, right, that just requires something more from me. That one kid requires for me to actually reinvent myself in my parenting.
Interesting.
And a lot of us respond to it and go, "Wow, this kid just needs something more from me. I need
different.
That's part of my parenting journey. I got to figure out how to reinvent myself, and I got to keep working. I got to keep growing interpersonally. I got to keep evolving, and I might need a coach to support me in that, a parent coach or a mentor or somebody to help
me be me now.
Yeah, well, to meet him or her where she's at, and be that specific parent that they need, because the first son or daughter didn't need that. And so it takes that conscious parent to see that and then actually be willing to reinvent themselves and then go down that journey and then guide that child to have their breakthroughs and then go down that path.
So as that process begins and evolves and you recreate yourself for this situation, are you not also really helping yourself become the person you want to be? Because these kids are going to be gone. Then what happens to you? I mean, when you've spent a substantial amount of your adult life mothering, parenting, guiding, and doing all that, and then all of a sudden, that one's gone, that one's gone, that one's gone, and that one's gone, and you have to look at yourself now and go, what now?
Not just what now, but who am I?
Who am I?
And this is also common too. And I have a lot of clients that are very successful parents that have transitioned their kids off to college or off onto their own life. And my phone rings and they go, I need help. And I go, what's going on? And they go, I don't know who I am, because I've been mom for so long that I've lost who Christina is. Like, I don't know who she is. I know I'm a wife and a mom, but I've never really figured out what my purpose is, what my gifts are. I don't have my own life independent of being that person who's committed my life to having my kids win.
Do you see that coming down the road?
That's pretty much who I am right now at this moment in my life. I look around the house and they can drive, they work, they're going to college, and I'm sitting at home going, tapping my fingers going, so I'll do the laundry, go to the store. What do I do now? And then my husband comes home, and I'll call it actually even to the point of maybe a little depressed, because I felt like I didn't accomplish anything today. When you used to get him to practice and to school and did homework, there was a sense of accomplishment. And now I find myself at the end of the day going, well, yeah, the laundry's done, the floors are clean, and that's who I am.
But you don't know what it looks like to
be me.
To be you.
So remember I talked about the two paths, right? Your
Right.
son or daughter has their path, and then you have to draw the line and split it and have your own path. So as you're on your own path or your own lane, coaching and mentoring them while they're on their own path, your path still has a whole plethora of opportunities for you to figure out how to live your life as Robin and figuring out what Robin loves and what Robin's passionate about and what Robin's good at and what Robin's purpose is while being the parent and mentoring. That's why it's so beautiful, because it takes you out of putting all that energy into try to controlling their life, and we go dial it back, stop controlling them, give up some of that time and all that worrying, and put it into a hobby or put it into something that you love doing or something that you enjoy doing, and so you can start building that life.
I did try that, and I've been trying that. I work with dog rescue. Then I feel like I'm taking away from my daughter, because all of a sudden I have this puppy running around the house that I'm trying to catch, and she's going, Mom, can't we go to the beach today? And no, honey, I can't leave the dog here all day. And so then I get caught in the middle of that too. So then I say, okay, I'm not going to foster any more dogs right now because I'm taking away from her.
So let me ask you a question, because we're going to go on break now. I want you to ponder upon this question, whether it's through the break or you might have an answer now. What is your purpose in life?
That one I'll have to think about during the break. I haven't figured that
out
yet. Yep.
All right. I'm going to ask you another question. If you don't know what your purpose is in life, would you like to figure out what that purpose is?
Yes.
If you found out what that purpose was, how beneficial and valuable do you think that would be for you?
I think it would change my life.
Okay. So if that would change your life, and it's something that you feel, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you feel like it might be missing, or now hearing somebody ask you the question and you have to answer it, would it be worth you making a commitment to try to figure out what that is? Because if you found it, it would bring so much more purpose and meaning and value and importance to what your life is really about.
Which ultimately brings you peace.
Absolutely.
And we know I have a fear of commitment, so that I love to commit to something, and then I back out of it.
Well, that's why you get support, because anything that's going to be worth value in a huge way, a lot of times if we can't figure out how to create it for ourselves, we got to create a team of people that can support us in it and that are just as invested in us having it as we are for ourselves. Because if you would have been able to figure it out already, you would have
done it.
Yeah. And so this is where it goes back to why most human beings don't ask for help. Because why? We're stubborn.
We're embarrassed.
We're embarrassed, right? We bring all our baggage, and we just don't want to ask for help or be supported.
We work with resistance. We're constantly resisting.
So think about that question about what your purpose is during the break, and when we come back, we'll try to figure out what that is. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here on your hometown station, KHTS.
Santa Clarita, bedbugs are taking over our city. They've invaded our homes, our businesses, and most importantly, our sleep. If you have suspicious bites that appear nightly or have a bug that you need ID'd, your best option is to make one call to All Pro. We offer a 100% guarantee that your bedbug issues will be solved with heat in one treatment. No need to tent or spray your house with chemicals. Heat is all you need. Call 661-298-2200 or text me a bug picture to 661-645-0540. It's time to sleep tight again, SCV.
There are times when nothing else will do because you know exactly what you want. You want the Alamo, the taste of true Mexican cooking at its best. At Alamo, you're treated to a taste that is truly Mexican with an atmosphere to match. Enjoy a Cadillac margarita, try a mucho burrito, or sizzling fajitas. Voted the best Mexican food in the SCV and a favorite of former supervisor Mike Antonovich. Alamo Rotisserie in Granary Square, serving Santa Clarita for over 30 years.
Hey guys, this is Cardinellis, host of the new show, Problem Solver Politics, an independent political talk show that keeps you up to date and in the latest political happenings, both nationally and here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Now, this isn't your usual partisan political talk show. At Problem Solver Politics, we have both Democrats, Republicans, and Libertarians hash out their differences on air as we strive to find solutions to today's challenges. Join us Sundays at 7 p.m. for Problem Solver Politics.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
And welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, an advanced life coach specialist, hanging out with this beautiful lady, Ellen Tunick. Thanks for being in studio. And we have Robin in studio with us, sharing about your experience as a mom and wanting to get yourself to the next level. Thanks for taking the time to be here and also being courageous enough to be open to discussing the next level and reaching that next level of parenting and being a more powerful and effective mom. So before we went on a break, the magical question was, what's your purpose in life?
And my sole purpose, I thought, was to be a mom. It was my dream forever. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to be a great mom. Wanted to be involved, really involved with my kids. So that was my purpose, and I think part of me still keeps it as it is my purpose, so I'm limiting myself in this little box of...
Because as they get older and as they leave, they don't need that involvement.
But yet I'm still texting and somewhat micromanaging, even though I don't really need to, because this was my purpose.
Yeah, and you don't know how to transition away from that.
No.
And what if they still do need you? It just looks different. It's a different form, or it takes a new shape. Can you reshape your mom purpose to be able to still support them, still be there for them, still mentor them, still teach them, still lead by example, and still fulfilling that purpose, as well as discovering other purposes?
I think I can. I think I
can.
I really do. I believe I can. I find myself when I get into that pattern that I might be able to do that for a little bit, and then the other shoe drops. One of the kids I feel needs me in that,
and
really
it pulls you back.
It pulls me back to being that. Okay, let me fix it. Let me figure it out.
Okay, I want you to start thinking now of shifting your mom role into supporting, not fixing. Because this is the second time you've used the word fix. I need to fix this. You're not a fixer. As much as you would like to be a fixer, I wish we were almighty and all-powerful to fix everyone's problems. And it's not your job to fix. It's not your responsibility to fix anything, nor do I think you actually have the power to fix all of their problems. So I think if you take that burden off of your back and shift into a role of every single day I'm going to give my kids my best from the context of supporting them with different kinds of tools, insight, support, options, being a great listener, being the space for them to figure out who they are, challenging them, speaking to their greatness, reminding them how amazing they are, encouraging them, championing them, calling them out to the next level, calling yourself out, revealing things about yourself, hooking their heart, sharpening your communication skills. If you restructured your parenting model and focused on the next level of parenting, could it possibly free you up from needing to fix everything and be attached to the results? Because it sounds like you're really attached to the results. If they're winning, I could take a deep breath and I validated myself as a great mom because they're winning. But the minute they're not winning, oh my God, my worth goes down the drain because they're not winning anymore. And you can literally drive yourself nuts because kids are going to win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And what if you just gave yourself permission to just not attach your self-worth to the results, but made a commitment to your efforts towards having them win?
I definitely can do that, and in times I try. In times I am.
So you understand the concept.
And in times I am that parent. I am just there to listen. I'm just supporting. I think another reason why I go to the quote fix it is because I haven't found my purpose, because I haven't found something for myself. So if they call with a problem or they're down and out that day, it gives me something to do.
Okay, I like that, and I'm in agreement. I think that because you don't have anything else, it's like, I got a new purpose, and you jump in there. But now your new purpose is to go in there and fix it. So I want to open up the possibility that let's restructure the model, and let's get the fixing as a parent out of the equation. You're not there to fix anything. I want you to start challenging yourself to inspiring them, enrolling them.
Can we create an example?
Yes.
So I'll give you a scenario.
Perfect. That's why you're on the show, to throw scenarios at me.
My son is away at school, and he calls, and Mom, I'm just so stressed. I have so much anxiety. I need to get my laundry and I have to go to the grocery store. I need an oil change. And I try and do just take a moment, write down a list, pick one, get one done. And then I get a call back later. Mom, you don't understand. You don't understand. This is so stressful. I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I coach again. And then I get the phone call again. No, Mom, you really don't get it. I have a huge test too. And so that now I'm like, okay, should I fly out there and go get his laundry done and I'll run to the grocery store for him? I mean, it's that bad. I would do that. I would literally fly out and do that. That's who I am. And I'm trying right now to push myself not to, but I also don't know what else to do with him when I'm getting these constant phone calls.
So the scenario that you just painted to me, I'll tell you what I'm hearing. I'm hearing the son calling you and venting. And then what I'm hearing you do is give him advice. And then he either takes advice and either uses it or doesn't use it, and then calls you again, is venting again, and you give him more advice. And this keeps happening.
This is a continual pattern.
Right. But it sounds like in the advice, you're giving him the advice with the intention to try to fix his problem. Mm-hmm. You're not developing a leader by doing that. So how do you develop leaders?
You allow them to figure it out themselves.
That's right. That's a starting point. You allow them to figure it out themselves. And the way that you do that is by asking them questions. So when he's venting, instead of instantly going to, here's 4 examples of how you can fix that problem or you can handle that, right? Because that's you using your muscle, your leadership muscle.
Your mommy muscle.
Yeah, you're using the mommy muscle to fix it for him or give him the answers. But what we do is we enable our kids when we do that, and we don't create an environment for them to figure out for themselves how competent they are, how powerful they are, how courageous they are, because we're giving them these solutions. So instead, try asking him questions like, that's not a great place to be at, and I've been there before. Have you ever heard the feel, felt, found tool? It's in my book, so I'm going to recommend that you get my book and you actually read the book. I'm just giving you a hard time. Inside the book, I talk about the feel, felt, found method, and the way it goes is when your kids are venting to you, you go, I know how that feels. I, too, have felt like that before. And what I found out is when I've been in those scenarios, this is how I handled it, or I found out that this worked best for me. So the feel, felt, found lets them know that you too have been there, and then you're giving them a scenario that had you share about how you handled that circumstance. But you're sharing your story, but you're not actually giving him or her advice.
And what if they respond with, no, Mom, you don't understand. You don't understand.
So you're probably right. I probably don't understand. And I have no idea what it's like to be in your shoes. So the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of times when they're calling and they're frustrated and they're venting, a lot of times they just want to be right. Mm-hmm. And as parents, a lot of times we don't let them be right. We don't just go, yeah, you're right. I probably don't understand. I don't even know what it's like. So even though I feel like I've been there before and I can try to associate, I actually never been to college and going through what you're going through, especially as a young man.
As a young man.
So let them be right. The point I'm trying to make here is instead of giving him advice, what would it look like if you asked him open-ended questions that made him self-reflect? No, have him self-reflect and think about the question you're asking and then have to come up with an answer. Like, yeah, I don't know how you feel. How are you going to handle it? What are some of the ideas you have? You have to learn how to start helping him draw out the answers from within himself as though he's coming up with them on his own.
Because they all have it in them.
Absolutely. And that's the concept that I need you guys to start remembering. Especially as
all there. It's all inside.
As a conscious parent, we got to remember that they have all their answers. And my job isn't to put my answers into them. It's to learn how to create a space and facilitate a process where I can help draw the answers out from them.
And do they gain confidence?
Absolutely. As they're answering the questions that you're asking them, they're starting to go, oh, I do know this. Oh, I can do that. Oh, I am creative. Oh, there's another solution. Oh, there's another possibility.
A little more control too. If he has to do it himself, then he's getting a little more control.
And that's how we build our kids up, by asking open-ended questions. The problem lies is that as parents, we're never taught that. No one ever either teaches us that, opens up that possibility for us, paints that picture, and rarely do.
We were just told.
Well, you were, in your era, it was.
In my era, we were, I mean, you did what your parents said.
Do it or you got to pay a consequence.
Yeah.
And some of us.
And I did push that envelope.
And some of us some of us Generation Xers, we were parenting like that too. And so you got to remember, we keep bringing our parenting stuff into our parenting.
We bring our own agenda.
Yeah. So the way you were parented, as much as you say, I'll never be like that to my kids.
Oh, and that's what we all say.
Yeah, exactly.
We all say, when I'm a mom, I'll never.
Yeah, but there's still 60% of that you're bringing in and you don't realize it. And so that's why sometimes as a coach, we can help you see that, because a lot of times you can't see that for yourself.
Yeah, it's not conscious.
So let me ask you a question. So during the coaching sessions, a lot of times my job is to ask, what are you hearing me say? Or what are you realizing? Or what's your little voice telling you? What's the wisdom and the golden nuggets that's being sprouted from within yourself?
Right now, what I'm really hearing is I don't have to fix everything.
So that's kind of like screaming
huge.
at you, right?
Yeah, it really is, because that was my validation. So if I could fix it, then I was a good mom. Or if I could get a hold of my husband and he could fix it, then we as parents did a great job. So what I'm really hearing is I can listen. I don't have to fix it.
And that could be
shouldn't fix it.
And that could be the biggest golden nugget of your parenting career. If you can not only see that aha, but actually embrace it, hold on to it, tuck it, and practice it, and keep reminding yourself. And if you can't remind yourself, you got to set yourself up with a team of people that keep reminding you. Like maybe you go home and tell your husband, oh my God, I had this amazing aha moment today. Your job for the rest of our lifetime is to keep reminding me that I don't have to fix
I think he'd
their
be
problems.
happy to.
Yeah. Or
well, he's a fixer too. So
but he's a fixer too.
Oh my God. The blind leading the blind, right? Yeah.
I think I learned a lot.
So maybe as a team, you can remind one another.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, you remind me, I remind you. Or maybe you do something next level stuff, like let's create a parenting creed. And you get a great big poster board like this KHTS sign, and you create a parenting creed up there that goes up on your wall, and it's just something that you look at every day, reminding you, right? We do this with affirmations. We have daily affirmations to remind us of how we strive to be, to better ourselves. So maybe you create some kind of parenting rules or affirmations that remind you of.
That's also setting up some boundaries. With creating that, I'm setting up boundaries that I'm not going to
boundaries.
Yeah, that I'm not going to let myself go to that fix it.
Right.
But this is where it comes in. Like I said earlier, it really takes a commitment, because we can talk about this all day long for 100 shows. But if you haven't made the commitment and you're not getting that constant work over and over and over again, because you got to remember, you're bringing a lot of years of conditioning, of fixing.
It's your story. You've written your story.
Yeah, and it's ingrained. You own it. It's who you've become. You're the mommy fixer. You know how there's the horse whisperer, and you're the mommy fixer. It's in your DNA. So you have to do a lot of work to undo that
and retrain your brain.
That's right.
Well, and actually hearing that, I guess I haven't really seen myself that way, but now that you say it, it's true. I mean, I had a fourth child move into our house because I am the fixer. He needed a safe place and someone to provide for him. A couple of months ago, one of my daughter's friends showed up on our door needing a place to go. So I go to fix it. I make sure he's fed. I am a fixer.
Yeah.
Now let's not muddy the waters and cloud the line between fixing and loving people.
Okay.
Because you can love people. I remember my grandmother. She used to love, every time we'd come over, she was like, the first thing she'd do is, honey, have you had a hot meal? Let me cook something for you. And it was, it's like, I can love on you, but I'm just not going to fix your problems. So she would make me a meal, and I'd sit there and I would, be eating the meal, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, And I don't know what it was about my grandma. She was very wise in knowing that, hey, honey, that's you get to figure that out.
Yeah.
I'll listen all day. And that's what made her so powerful, was she was a great listener. And I think that as parents, and especially conscious parents, our power is in our listening. It's not necessarily in what we're saying, but more about being a great listener, being a great space for them to share it, get it off their chest, and then just be there to validate that they have what it takes to overcome.
Because you I never want not to be a loving, kind soul. I mean, that's just, that's a given. We want to be loving, but you don't want to cross that line.
That's right. One of the greatest books I've ever read is Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus.
Love it. Read it years ago.
So I read it in my early 20s, and it was like, running into a tree.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the biggest breakthroughs in that book was as a Martian, right, as a man in the Martian mentality, a lot of times we listen to our women and we put the Mr. Fix-It hat on.
Yes.
So the woman would come in, your girlfriend, your wife would walk in and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe my boss," and she would start on all of her venting. And as the Martian is listening, he's listening, and when she's done, he goes, "Yeah, honey, I told you that you need to go in there and take a stand and speak up for yourself." And he starts giving the advice because he wants to fix it, right? And she looks at him and goes, "Oh my God, I don't know why I talked to you." And then she storms off mad. And he goes,
What did I do?
What did I do?
I was just trying to help.
So then the author does a different version where she walks in and starts venting. And he goes, "Guys," he goes, "this is what you need to do." And all he does is goes throughout the whole dialogue, right? In the audiobook, he goes, "Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ah, wow, yeah. Yeah, that is bad. I know how that feels, honey. I'm so sorry." It's all grunting and moaning and facial expressions. And I remember being 20 years old going, "Oh my God, that's it? That's the magical
do?
Yeah.
That's the magic.
But what's powerful about it was the way he teed it up. He said, and I don't know if he did it this distinctive, but from what I remember and took away from it was like, women are so powerful that they can figure out their own solutions. How dare you think that she can't come to her own conclusions? All she's looking for is for you to be the buffer, be the sounding board, so that she can hear herself being frustrated and venting, so that later on it catches up. She'll come up with her own conclusions. And
Why is that so hard for us? Well, not for everybody, but so hard to realize that people don't always need to hear what you have to say.
I think a lot of times because we love people so much that we don't like to see them suffering. So the easy way out is to give them advice.
Yes.
And wisdom, when wisdom comes into play, right? When your spirit pops out, your spirit's going, "Shh, shh, shh." You don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
Just smile, hold their hand, give them a hug. Sometimes there's power in not saying anything. And some of the greatest breakthroughs have come when people have a surrounding or a family or parents that in their silence, there's such powerful wisdom that allows the other person to figure out how to tap into that. So the takeaway for today is that believing that our kids are so competent, even in their journey, in their young journey, that there's this mighty spirit full of wisdom that if you create the silent space for them, they'll figure it out. And then the way to help them tap into it is ask the questions. Ask certain questions leading them down the road to coming up with that final solution.
Their own stories.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin, so much for taking the time to be here.
You.
We're going to go on a short break. When we get back, we're going to talk about a challenge that you took on from last week. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned for more of the Alex Urbina radio show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Sweet, salty,
Ready to take your multimedia skills to the next level? With a KHTS radio internship, you aren't just entering a radio station. You're engaging with a team of professionals in over 5 different departments, holding 10 different types of internships available to students. Work with some of the station's best, the team that provides Santa Clarita with outstanding content. It's time to experience the fast-paced nature of a newsroom and get up and close to where the news is actually happening. Maybe you're up to the challenge to write for news or edit video content. Or are you into radio production, graphic design, web design, marketing, or even social media management? You're dedicating time and effort into your craft. Now it's time to polish those skills in a professional setting. Find out if we have a position that fits your field of study, or if you're ready to apply. Email info@hometownstation.com. Join the Hometown Station today and expect to build your career for tomorrow.
Drugs or alcohol abuse can tear a family apart. In Santa Clarita, just like everywhere else, it's an epidemic. The Way Out Recovery is here to help. Call them now at 296-4444 or visit them on the web at thewayoutrecoveryscv.com. The Way Out offers outpatient treatment for adolescents, adults, and family members. The Way Out is compassionate, caring, professional, and confidential. You and your family don't have to suffer any longer. Call The Way Out Recovery now, 296-4444, or visit thewayoutrecoveryscv.com and make an appointment. Asking for help is the first step.
One more day. One more day.
KHTS is proud to present Diamond Rio, 4-time Country Group of the Year, 23 top 10 hits. Experience Grammy Award winners Diamond Rio like you've never seen them before. Here in our hometown at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center. Country legends Diamond Rio, and featuring Country Showdown winner Savannah Burrows.
Why is my heart feeling a touch of jealousy?
Savannah Burrows and Diamond Rio, together at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center, Saturday, June 30th.
What a beautiful mess, what a beautiful mess I'm in.
Tickets are going fast. Visit canyonspac.com to purchase yours. canyonspac.com for Diamond Rio.
And the bad news is you're gone.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close.
And the hits keep on coming.
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard.
Ibex is back.
Harder, better, Fossa stronger.
And a new track from Kendrick Lemur.
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa.
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
Welcome back to the Alex Urbina Radio Show. I'm your host, Alex Urbina, hanging out with Ellen Tunick. How'd you like that segment? Was that pretty cool or what?
Oh, it's wonderful because we forget because we haven't done the work. So it goes from concept, which is, oh, wow, that's really cool, to really understanding the necessity of taking those steps and getting, it's like a job. It's like a job.
It is.
And I give 150% to my company. I need to give 150% to myself.
Yeah, that's great insight. It is first a concept. And that's why a lot of times when people ask, to get coached, I tell them it's going to be a rigorous process. There's so many years of conditioning and behavior patterns that's going to have to require for you to undo all that stuff. However, if you stay in rigorously long enough, all of a sudden those behavior patterns start to fade off and you start to create new ones, new empowering ones, and then you start to see incredible results. I think the average person, though, doesn't stay in there long enough or even commits to it or even sees the value of wanting to commit to it. But once you actually get it, so-called get it, and it gets in your bones, and it becomes
it starts up here in the intellect, and then it has to move through the heart, and then you get the head and the heart working together, then you have something.
And then when you get a couple results that really back it up, oh my God, it's like solidifying, and you're like, oh my God, how come?
Yeah.
It's funny because I get a lot of my clients will say, how come I didn't know this before? And I was like, you just didn't know because you just didn't know.
Yeah.
We weren't ready to know or didn't want to know or was
timing is
everything.
Everything.
Part of your journey. Like we all get to our journey when we get there. The question is, are you listening? Are you ready yet? If not, what are you waiting for? What's getting in your way?
Why are you resisting change?
All of that stuff starts to come into play. All right. So when we left our show last Friday, I asked you a question. It was a challenge that you kind of took on yourself.
Yeah, well, you asked me. In the course of a day, everyone has from like 1,000 to almost 2,000 thoughts in the course of a day. So, for you, how many are negative and how many are positive? And I looked at you and said, I have no idea. And you said, you're not present. You're not being present. So I took it on that in the week that's transpired, I tried to be very conscious of the thoughts that were coming through. Now I have to wade through, there's a lot of just senseless chatter that goes on in my head. But I did notice that there were more negative thoughts than I would have thought I had. So when they would come in, I would listen to them and hear them and then try and understand where they came from and realize there's another side. Because you said a very aha moment to me, which is worry isn't real. So every negative thought that I had was based in worry. So it would come in and I would be able to say to myself, that's based out of worry. Worry is not real. Change it up. So it was, I worked on that all week.
So what you're describing to me is what we call shifting your perspective.
Yes.
So you were having perspective shifts.
Yes.
A paradigm shifting. And that's what being conscious and aware and mindful is noticing when you're having those automatic thoughts that are generated from fear or worry, and then you catching them and then shifting them.
Yes.
Now, most of us, when we're unconscious, don't realize that we can actually be doing that. We think that when they come up, they just come up like it is. Rather than, no, it's just an option. It's how I've been wired for so long. A lot of us don't know that we actually have the power to catch it, hold it, and then change it.
Well, what's fascinating is, and I have to laugh, I'll never be 5'10" with long legs and blonde.
Me neither.
Okay, but I can change what I'm saying to myself. I have complete control over that. No control over the fact that I'm not tall and blonde.
Now, I think that's a breakthrough in itself, because I think up until you realizing that for yourself and then saying it out loud and then embracing that, I think there's an illusion that you can be that someday. Otherwise, why would you keep wondering why you're not that? Instead of just saying, I am who I am. This is what I was born with. This is what God gave me. And I'm just going to make the best. I'm just going to be me.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the best with what I got rather than trying to be something else.
And there's also that level is I want to know what I got.
Yes.
I don't really know yet what I got. So.
I'm getting excited. You're firing me up.
All right.
To really, be in the question of just, going, man, like I haven't really fully explored how amazing I am and what possibilities that I can go out there and create when I'm really mindful and present and optimistic. About what I could create for myself.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have, Ellen. What a beautiful
thank you,
show.
Alex.
The good news is we're here live every Friday at noon. Please follow me on Facebook at Coach Alex Urbina. I'm also on Instagram and YouTube. Thanks for joining us on the Alex Urbina Radio Show right here in your hometown station, KHTS.
Bye.